When I was 18, I went to a college in a fairly large city. I had to get an hour-long bus into the city, and my lesson plan left huge gaps during the day, sometimes 4 hours at a time. I had a lot of time to kill, so I started taking up swimming at a local leisure center. The pool was pretty busy, but everyone kept to themselves. This day I needed to pee, so I headed to the bathroom and used the urinal. While I was peeing, this dude slides up to the urinal right next to me. This is already pretty weird, as most guys know. You don't use the neighboring urinal to someone if others are free. Some people are a bit clueless, though, so I didn't think much of it. He then, however, starts staring up and down my entire body. I quickly finish up and leave the bathroom without washing my hands. Sorry, fellow swimmers. I carry on my swim unbothered, then I get changed. As I leave the swimming pool, I see the guy waiting for me, leaning on the wall outside. He's probably about 5'10", 40 years old, and quite slobby and blokey looking. Doesn't seem the type to go swimming alone to get fit. I'm 6'2", thin, but fairly confident in myself. As I make my way back to college, he starts following me. This goes on for about a mile, so I decide to test him and start crossing busy roads at weird places. Of course, he stays on my trail, having to basically dodge cars to keep up. I decide to forget walking the last mile back and take the busy shuttle bus to the local university that goes close to the college. Again, of course, he follows and gets on. Luckily, there are not many seats free and he can't sit next to me. I ride for about 5 minutes, ring the bell, then hop off and run the rest of the way to the college, not seeing him anymore. Bit of a boring end, I guess, but I have no idea of his intentions or how far he would have followed me. I'm a 14-year-old girl who is often mistaken for at least 18 because of my body shape. I was at the YMCA with my sisters. We were swimming for a while, and then I started to feel sick. My younger sister said, "You don't look good. Maybe you should sit in the changing room for a while." I replied with, "Yeah, I think I will." I went in the changing room for some peace and quiet, and lucky me, no one was there. I sat on one of the benches and closed my eyes. A few moments later, and I hear someone come in. He was a guy, tall, muscular, and genuinely good looking. I brushed it off, thinking he was probably waiting on his girlfriend and came to check on her because she was taking too long or something. That is, until he approached me and sat right next to me, so close our thighs were touching. I was really surprised. I scooted over and gave him that "what do you think you're doing" sort of look. He smiled at me and said, "Don't worry, girl, I'm not going to hurt you," and proceeded to put his hand on my back. I stood up and backed away. I was scared to run because he seemed athletic, so he probably would have caught me. He asked me how old I was, in a sickeningly sweet tone, saying, "How old are you, baby?" I tell him 14, and he nonchalantly says, "Cool." So I asked him how old he was. 23. He then stood up and started walking over to me, and I backed away from him. This is the turning point. I hear a bathroom stall open, and there standing in all her glory was the lady who I'll call my hero. She stepped out, and I knew that she had heard everything. That dude took one glance at her and hightailed it out of there. The lady, we'll call her Stacy, was very nice and stayed with me until my parents came. I don't really know what happened to the man after that, or if he was ever caught. Let's go back to the summer of 2009, where I would have just turned 13. Like any unpopular teenager, I decided to have my few friends with me to spend my birthday party at a swimming pool that was maybe about 45 minutes away from the area where I live. It's a pretty nice pool, with kids area and some rapids, which are really more of a lazy river type deal. I used to go there all the time, but I haven't been there since, for reasons you'll soon understand. Anyway, my friends and I have spent a fun-filled couple of hours in the pool when the time comes to leave, and maybe head back to the house and eat cake and ice cream and all that crap that young teens eat at birthdays. As you do, we headed in the showers and then into the changing rooms. Changing rooms at this pool were those stalls which aren't floor-to-ceiling walls, with gaps at the bottom and top. They're about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters, and there's a bench opposite the door. Now, I won't lie, at the age of 13, I was a really slow changer, but in a group of my friends, who were mostly girls, including myself, there wasn't much difference. So I'm getting changed. I'm standing there in my towel, just about to start putting my underwear on, when I hear something. It probably would have avoided a lot of crap if I'd just looked up then, but hey, I was getting changed and I was concentrating. It's when I finally got my underwear on that I look up, and I unfortunately lock eyes with a guy who has his head between the wall and the ceiling. Like literally, he has jammed his head over the wall to look at me, a young teenage girl, changing. And I'm shocked, because what the heck do you do in this situation? He pulls his head back when he realizes I've seen him, and I feel sick. I have chills up and down my neck as I try and get dressed as fast as I can. My skin crawled. It was absolutely awful. Unfortunately, this story does not end there. Fast forward through a few minutes of the fastest changing of my life, and now I'm fully clothed with one trainer on and the other in my hand. I've no idea what I'm doing now, but I'm pretty sure he's going to come back. So I put myself on the bench, crouched in a stance I'm sure any action hero would be proud of. Lo and behold, back comes his face, jammed back into the tiny gap. It must have hurt, but apparently sacrifices have to be made in the pursuit of inappropriate staring. This time, though, I'm ready. I don't know whether anyone's ever had a hard shoe sole forcibly jammed into their eye and nose twice in a row, but it looked painful. I hope it was bloody painful, at least. That was basically it from him. I put on my shoes, I walked calmly out to my friends, and then we met my parents at the doors. I didn't tell any of them, not even when I passed him on the reception. He didn't see me, but I saw him, and let me tell you, my greatest regret nowadays was that I didn't tell my dad right then and watch him slug that jerk in the face. I regret it so much you have no idea. It should probably bother me more than it does and has, but I think the fact that I never told anyone bothers me the most. All it does now is keep me up at nights like this and make me feel a little sick sometimes. I'm not sure how old I was, but I was really small. Maybe around 6. I was with a bunch of people from my church, having a barbecue at the river. All of the kids were swimming in the water. I didn't know how to swim yet, so I was just staying waist deep in the shallow part. At some point, this girl came up to me and was playing with me. We were splashing each other and stuff. Weird thing is that she had to have been at least 13 or so, and I didn't know who she was, even though I knew everyone else there. Apparently, no one was paying attention to us. She started pushing me out, deeper and deeper, to where I couldn't touch. She just kept laughing the whole time. My head kept going underwater. I tried grabbing onto her arms when she would push me, but she easily knocked my grip loose. The slight current slowly pulled me away from my friends and my family while I struggled to tread water. I was panicking, but she wouldn't stop pushing me and laughing. I could not possibly have looked like I was having fun. I would try to yell, but was only ever above water long enough to take a breath. Every time my feet touched the mud for a split second, she would just push me again. I couldn't believe she was laughing. I was sure I was going to drown. No one seemed to notice. Of all the people to intervene, it would happen to be my childhood bully, Zachary. He had always been a jerk to me, mentally and physically abusive. but I still feel like that day he saved my life. He came up and told her to get away from me. He grabbed me by my arm and pulled me up to where I could stand again. Then he ran off and continued to play with the other kids his age, as if nothing happened. The girl was already a ways away now, too. I went on playing, and as with so many other things, I don't think I told anyone until I was much older. Pretty sure I never saw that girl again.